Hello, I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the Fortnite news episode. I hope you guys all enjoy. As always, all today's stories will be timestamped down below. Let's talk about the drama first, and I want to clarify before we get to the dramatic story out there between Nickeh 30 as well as CLG's Marksman. I want to clarify and preface with this story by saying I think both sides had a very fair argument. I think Nickeh, after the end, with all of his apologies, handled it very well, despite the accusations he did kind of throw out there, and I understand where Marksman is coming from as well. Of course, being accused of said cheating on live stream. There's definitely two sides to this story, so let's break it down for all of you guys who are not aware of the drama. I'm also going to link the video that Marksman did post, which clarifies this. But a TLDR for all of you guys, it was actually a 10K Flash Battles squad duo tournament. So of course you compete on the same squad. You try and compete for the most amount of kills. And there was a lot of just things thrown out there that were just, of course, accusations wise from Nickeh, but a lot of it did make sense. So kind of clarify what first happened. We are in the losers bracket by this point. I think their fourth match in. I believe the losers were actually eliminated from the tournament altogether. It was actually Nickeh 30 and Hogman versus CLG Marksman as well as Dawes. And Dawes did join the lobby with a name that was not Dawes. It was actually just random numbers, which off the bat does seem very skeptical. I think Nickeh's main allegation was that maybe Marksman had hired out a friend or a pro player who was very good to, of course, not lose the tournament. Although it was a very small prize pool tournament, that's probably not likely to happen. It's I think an allegation that's allowed to be had. Maybe not be said aloud, but it definitely was skeptical.
But why would he need a mic? He doesn't need one.
Who is that?
You guys want to host? Are you on East or West?
Yeah, we're East.
Okay, well you can host first. It's cool.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Hogman. What's up?
Who's this person who just joined?
I guess that's him. I guess it's his teammate.
Is it?
Yeah, he said he's ready. He's readied up.
On top of that, that was being Dawes. Dawes, on top of joining with that random in-game name, the registry on the website had his actual name, but then when he showed up in the lobby, he had that name with numbers, which adds to confusion and definitely makes sense why Hogman and especially Nickeh were actually skeptical that that was actually Dawes playing alongside Marksman. On top of that, to even further confuse people, it was actually Dawes who was delaying the match because he was trying to actually install a brand new microphone, or so that's what, of course, Marksman was saying, and that's why apparently it had taken about 10 to 15 minutes to actually do so.
I'm trying to set up your mic.
Yeah, I ordered a new mic.
Ah, very nice.
I thought I could squeeze it in.
So you have a random guy with random numbers join the lobby pretending to be Marksman's, or he was actually Marksman's teammate, but allegedly pretending to be so, and then he couldn't even talk in game, so you cannot confirm his identity. The game starts, they play it out. As the game progresses, to add to frustrations, of course this being a kind of a duo kill record, it was actually Hogman and Nickeh who had a pretty poor game. Alongside that, to even add to frustrations even further, it was Marksman's and so said Dawes who had a pretty solid game. So I can imagine adding to that frustration, as well as this being a live stream. You know, me making this video, you have all the context, you have all the arguments, you have everything wrapped up in a finite package, but when you're live streaming, this is all being tossed at you in the moment, and you're not really sure exactly the best things to say, and I think that's where Nickeh really fell short here. He did say a lot of things that were borderline, just maybe taken out of context in Marksman's video. If you did watch the live stream though, some of them were just kind of oddly placed. You know, I think obviously one of the fair statements that was actually made, apparently Nickeh said, why would you need a microphone in a tournament? Of course, this being a heavy communication game, you would think that'd be definitely a false statement, but it was actually allegedly Marksman who took that out of context, that whole clip there. But we also at one point had Nickeh say that he was lying. He definitely said that Marksman was lying. Then he said he wasn't sure.
Mic hooked up. And he didn't even use a mic when he came. Like, you know what I mean? What do you need a mic for? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know, man. Like, he joins, it says it's his teammate, but he can't use a mic. So, like, we can't even prove that it's him. And he's just got, like, a bunch of numbers in his name.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, man.
I didn't like that vibe. I knew he was lying right off the bat. And I think he is. I don't know. I don't want to accuse anyone, but...
It was a lot of back and forth, and eventually a Flash Battles moderator did get in there and confirm that Dawes had actually changed his account name a day or so before the tournament, and therefore, due to Epic rules, he couldn't change his name again for 2 weeks. Alongside that, it was actually FaZe Rain who had played against him earlier in the tournament. A huge point Nickeh was trying to make was, let's just check the match history and see if Dawes, the random numbers name, was actually playing against FaZe Rain, to which that point Marksman in his video did provide several screenshots of all 4 of their matches throughout the tournament where Dawes had played with that match name. So I think a lot of this was actually just blown out of context. Overall, TLDR, guys, okay? To give you a short 30-second reveal, which I probably should have let off with, it was Nickeh and Hogman who accused Dawes and Marksman of cheating and apparently using a person who was actually not Dawes. It was Dawes. He changed his account name a day or so before the tournament. He therefore could not change his name back for 2 weeks based on Epic's rules. And then very lastly, a mic issue he had. He was installing a new microphone, just added to all of that alongside it being a live stream. Some things were said out of context that maybe should not have been said. said. And Nickeh did eventually apologize, guys. I think it was a situation totally blown out of proportion. And anyway, now on to the non-dramatic Fortnite news. And I said non-dramatic, but it was a bit weird. Even further, I guess you could say, not really drama, but definitely an issue I'm really curious about. Of course, we talk about iDropz bodies. We talked about him last week. He was gonna be in the Fall Skirmish this week for week number 3, Kingpin, and allegedly he missed it. Now again, no confirmations out there, but allegedly he did type this in a Twitch chat, guys, because he missed Fall Skirmish to drop a cousin off, or pick a cousin up at the airport, which I thought was a bit weird, because allegedly as well, we look at further back in rumors, it had his 130,000 summer skirmish win, which is at the point in time record breaking to have a kid who obviously changed his life with that amount of prize pool money and earnings in just one tournament. And allegedly he actually missed a family wedding to do that. So now to miss a fall skirmish where he could potentially make, you know, up to 70K, unless you include the 50K bonus as well, if everything worked out perfectly fine. Now obviously these are very heavily competitive. He probably would have made a couple grand going here, and so to miss that, to pick a cousin up at the airport, people seem a bit sketchy of that. Now, he actually has been live streaming more and more. No one's sure if this was because of just a lot of pressure. Obviously, a lot of eyes were going to be on him this tournament, his first tournament back ever since his summer skirmish win. All in all, I'm not sure how to take it. I mean, obviously, the being mouse and keyboard on console or whatever it might be, maybe that added to the situation. But iDropz bodies did miss it, allegedly, to pick up a cousin at the airport. I'm sure we'll see him in the future, and when we do, we'll bring back the drama. Oh, and speaking of cheaters from our first story, obviously they weren't cheating, but it kind of I was trying to segue there. Maybe that didn't work out too well, but also apparently Epic Games, according to articles, well linked down below for all of you, they've picked up a brand new security service, or actually hired them out, that will be Camu, to potentially help them out with, of course, being the anti-cheat service for the platform. Again, we've had a few issues with that in the past, nothing too groundbreaking when it comes to competitive Fortnite, but for all the casual players out there, it should be an anti-cheat underway, or some progress coming towards that in the future. So looking forward to that, as well as for all you creators out there. I don't think that will be included in this, but definitely a lot of big creators are going to rejoice about this, as if they weren't making enough money off Fortnite so far. Fortnite continuing to do very smart things. Epic Games has now announced support the creator for the next 2 weeks, guys. If you enter the creator tag, that is the tag name or in-game name of your creator that you want to support out there, and any purchase you actually make at the store with your V-Bucks will actually, part of that purchase will then go to your favorite creators out there. I can only imagine how much people are going to be making off this, especially, you know, of course, your Ninjas and your Dr. Lupos and Tim the Tapmans. I can only imagine how much these guys will be raking in based off this, and Epic is doing just a great job, because we entice you guys to, of course, support those guys, and they keep on playing as well. So it's amazing to see how smart these guys are. That will go on for the next 2 weeks. You can support your creators, go to the V-Bucks store, guys, enter their tag name, and for the next 2 weeks, they'll get a part of your purchases. Let them rake it in. And also, if the rocket launcher wasn't annoying you guys enough, apparently according to Fortnite Intel, I'm not really sure if we're going to share these things in the future. We'll link their full article down below as well. Apparently, the quad launcher is what's going to be coming next in our next patch update. As if firing one rocket or one guided rocket wasn't enough, apparently now, if this does happen, you can fire 4 rockets at once. I can't see how this will not be overpowered and how it will not be misused, but I guess we're going to see how it rolls out. Now, speaking of that as well, we actually, of course, had week 3 Kingpin go down. It was Tfue trying to go back for the first back-to-back wins in North America. He did not do so, not even placing top 20, although it was a great event to watch. If you guys did actually watch it, comment down below some of your favorite clips, what they were. Maybe we'll show them next episode. Of course, we're going to break down week 4 here as they announce that format later this week, but it was very cool to see. Actually, their first win, guys, going to be Lenane, alongside them Aspect in North America, picking up their first win, doing so in very, very cool fashion. It went down to that very last map, but also, no surprise, guys, Bizzle, Poach, guys like that, also in the top 10 there. Ghost always securing some spots in the top 10. They do so at such a consistent pace. Alongside that, though, I believe we have a record. I cannot confirm this because I did not fact check it, but you guys can correct me in the comments if I am wrong here. I do believe Atlantis' Mitro has now become the first person in skirmish history to have back-to-back week wins. But now that I say that, I feel like there must be someone else. But at least for the European side of things, Mitro has done it. Of course, winning last week solos, guys. This week with his duo partner, he has done it again. Mitro has now secured himself a spot as the most dominant, if not one of the most dominant, in European skirmish history. So it's been really cool to see his dominance over there as well, and a great format. I cannot wait for this week, though. I'm still waiting. What do you guys think about? Are they ever going to do squad format? Or again, it seems to be solos and duos the best to watch. Obviously, with squads can be a bit hectic, but it's been great to see, of course, the consistency of some of these guys out there, especially in the European scene. Guys like Mitro, who are definitely securing their spots in history and definitely raking it in terms of prize pool earnings. But we hope you guys all enjoy Fortnite news. I cannot wait for some of these updates to come out. Will iDropz bodies, will he attend one Fortnite Fall Skirmish event in the future? I sure hope so, unless he has more cousins that have to be picked up.